The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, UNU Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
I'm a big fish in a small pond. Got my days free and my nights long. I create my own reality. Who I am is fine with me. As famous as I wanna be. Who I am is fine with me. It's who I am. It's who I am. Who I am.
Here we go. Hi, everybody. Hey, everybody. It's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? Welcome to our show. Tonight is Tuesday, January 16th. We're in New York City, and tonight is my Girl Power show. You know who came up with that? My cousin Joyce. She was sharing some stuff, and she's like, wow, it sounds like a Girl Power show. I was like, that's perfect, because I was kind of like thinking Wonder Woman, but Girl Power is really good. So let's acknowledge our friends that have joined us. Danielle Mazzio has joined us. Chris DePiero, I was talking about you, Chris. Jeffrey Campbell. Hi, Josevino, the best-looking man I've ever met. There he is. I told him about you, Joe, that you're very good-looking. John Pandish, Paul O'Halloran have joined us. And guys, I will ask you, let us know if the sound goes haywire. Last week it went haywire on the end a little bit, but I think I corrected the problem. So welcome to our show tonight. We are so glad you're here. And tonight my guests are my friend Yvonne Cassidy.
Hi.
And Heidi Germain Schnapoff. And what makes them girl power super girls, I'll tell you. Heidi is a stunt woman. She's an actual real live stunt woman. She works on shows. She does all these crazy things. And she's working on a couple shows right now, and we'll have her talk to you about that in a minute. Susie Turgeon. Hi, Susie. And then Yvonne Cassidy is an Irish writer. She's written 4 books, and she just finished one now, which I got in the mail a few days ago, my signed copy of my new Yvonne Cassidy book. I can't wait. There it is. So we're going to talk about all that. Now, I just want at the top of the hour tell everybody that this is What's the Story with Maria. We are in armeddigitalmedia.com. So that goes live across the country in 60 other countries. We're going live right now. And then afterwards, if you miss the show, not a big deal. You can come back and watch this, of course, as many times as you like, and we hope you will. But also remember, you can listen to it in podcasts in about 6 to 12 hours, usually we get it, on Spreaker, SPREAKER.com, and also on iHeartRadio. Just type in What's the Story with Maria. Thanks for all the likes, everybody. And this is our 27th episode, so we have 26 shows archived already, and we hope that you will do that. All right, so that said, now another thing that I want to talk about quickly and get it over with. Hi, Rena Crignali. She's joined us. LaDonna Burns, one of my favorite soulful singers. She's working at Brandy's tonight, I think. LaDonna, are you working? Let me know. Brandy's Piano Bar is on 84th, East 84th, between 2nd and 3rd. It's one of my favorite places in the city. I sub in there sometimes. And on Tuesday nights is LaDonna Burns and Michael Isaacs. So if you want to go visit them. Hi, Carol. Montgomery Florent. Richard Kowick has joined us. Okay, so what I do here, it seems a little crazy if you're listening on the radio, but when we Facebook Live, I'm talking to my guest, and people will come on. Hi, Penny James. She's come on. She's been on the show. So people will pop on, and I do like to acknowledge them as much as I can. So that's why it sounds like I have multiple personalities. I'm talking to a lot of people because I'm a Gemini, so I have a lot of things going on at once. And so that's what's happening. So anyway, let's start with you, Yvonne. Let's show your book right away.
Okay.
And we have to remember for the radio listeners, we have to spell things out. So the name of Yvonne's new book is, go ahead, Yvonne, tell us about your book.
So my new book is called I'm Right Here, and it's right here on my hand if you're in the radio. It came out in Ireland last year in March, and I'm hoping that it'll be out here in the US soon as well. And should I tell them a little bit about it, Maria?
Yeah, now how about the UK? You said, is it out in the UK as well?
Yeah, it's out in the UK as well. I always say Ireland because I start with Ireland.
No, I love it. I know.
Out in the UK at the same time as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's out in both markets.
And so if they walk into a bookstore in Ireland or in England, they can get this book. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep, they can get it in any bookstore. They can get it in Amazon. They can get it online, any of those places.
Okay, so you can get Yvonne's book right now, but you have to go to Amazon.uk, right?
That's right. Yes, yeah.
Okay, and so if you want to get Yvonne Cassidy, let's spell your name for us, Yvonne.
So it's YVONNE and Cassidy, Cassidy. My website is YvonneCassidy.com. That's another way to get it. You could contact me if you're in the States, and I have some copies here. That's how I...
Now, I got a signed copy. I ordered it a few weeks ago. Yvonne, if someone wants a signed copy, can they get that?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm happy to do signed copies, or I've done book clubs before. This is my fourth novel, so I've had a lot of fun doing book clubs and going to book clubs and talking about the book and signing copies for members of book clubs and all that stuff.
Okay, which I think is a great thing if you want to have an event at your school, at your club. There's so many things. I started to read one of Yvonne's other books called, let's show that one too, How Many Letters and Goodbye. And this is a beautiful book, and I got halfway through it, and I lent it to a little, well, she's not so little anymore, but she was 16 at the time. So now I just have to get the book back and finish it. But she loved it. And I lent it to her because I thought it was really talking about stuff that would matter to her. And so it's not just for, these books are not just for adults. Actually, I think that your books are really great, because I teach kids as well. I work with teenagers, and I would highly recommend these books to teenagers. Would you say that they're appropriate?
Well, yeah, it's funny because this book here, How Many Letters Ring Goodbye, it was first published in Europe as an adult book, and then when it was published here in the States, it was published as a young adult book.
Right.
So that I think totally shows your point that, certainly the editors...
As I was reading it, I thought this would be, I could recommend this to any of the parents of the kids that I teach, because, it's hard to find books that are appropriate for kids sometimes. But as a teenager, I read avidly, and books really got me through a lot and taught me a lot about the world. Yeah. So I loved your character in this book. She was a superhero too.
But she's a fighter. I mean,
she's a fighter. Yeah.
This book. I grew up gay in Ireland at a time when nobody was gay, and there was no books about being gay, and there was no TV shows about being gay. So part of my impetus to write this book was actually the book that I would have loved to have had as a teenager. Right. And the character was sort of almost, in a way, like there was parts of me in it, but she's much braver and she's much more spunky.
Well, she's scrappy. She is scrappy.
Yeah, I like her a lot.
You really can't get her down. So speaking of scrappy, I'm going to go back and forth between the two of you. So Heidi, we are speaking of scrappy.
What an intro.
Right? I'm telling you. No, because your character is like, she really gets through a lot. Like, she really is a survivor.
She's young, scrappy, and hungry.
Right. Young, scrappy, and hungry. Right. So, and then we'll go back to talking about the new book and those characters. But, so Heidi, when I met you, you were a singer. You were at NYU, I believe. You were almost done with NYU. And you were a singer, and were you a dancer as well? Did you dance?
I was what they call a mover.
Okay.
Yeah, I did tap, but I definitely did dance because I was in NYU.
Yeah. And then I found out that you were a stunt woman. Hi, Judy Jerome. She's joined us. She was on the show. So a stunt woman, a stunt woman, when did she do that? Like, how does, I know a lot of people in the city, and I don't know any other stunt people. So, really? No, you're like my one and only. Now, I want to show you something that Heidi brought me. This is amazing. So this is a cup that Heidi brought me. What does it say here, Heidi? Read it for me.
My favorite stunt girl thinks I'm unbearably awesome.
You see this? She is next to a bear, and that's my favorite stunt woman, Heidi. I am drinking my hibiscus tea out of that. So, Heidi, how did that happen? How did you go from being at NYU and being a singer to becoming a stunt woman?
Well, I legit think it started when I was 1 or 2 years old and climbing out of my crib.
You told me the story earlier. Tell the story. This is a great story of how...
My mom will tell you this story. She thinks that this is how she knew before anyone that I was going to be a stunt woman. When I was about 1.5 years, I jumped out of my own crib several times. And my dad, I think, built like an extender, like little bars and another level so I wouldn't get out. And I, again, made my way out. And I think I remember clearly actually falling. Like, I remember...
So you climbed up, and then
and just plopped out and hit the ground. And my mom came
That's a
running
long. That's a
up the
long drop
stairs,
for a kid.
And she comes in the room. She's expecting me to be crying. I'm just laughing, looking up at my mom sitting on my butt, just staring at the sky, just kind of like. I don't know if it's true, but in my head, I have a memory of actually like looking at the ceiling for the first time and then hitting the ground. But,
Okay, so that's when it started, and you loved tumbling and things like that, right?
I did. I did martial arts from a very young age.
Okay.
And I loved theater. I loved playing with my friends and making
And the
fight scenes.
the fight scenes. Okay, so martial arts prepares you for a lot of that,
Oh,
right?
Oh, absolutely. And being like a younger person that had been around and smaller, I was easy to throw around in karate class.
Wow.
My sensei, my karate teacher, Carl Long, had a lot of faith in me, and I kind of progressed pretty quickly as a kid, and I was always the demo kid, so I was thrown around from a very young age.
So he would demonstrate things like moves and things like that.
Kicks and punches. And
Okay, and did you compete in the martial arts as well?
I did, and believe it or not, we didn't do it for a while, for many years. My first several years in martial arts, he wasn't much into competitions. He wanted to be about the martial art. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sensei.
I love that.
Maybe he'll read this or see this. But I think it was actually good that we focused on like the martial art and why we do what we do and practical applications. And then I did finally start going to competitions. I remember my first competition. I had short hair. And I was terrified. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to fight anybody. I'm a little better about confrontation as a child. Even martial arts my whole life, I never really wanted to confront anyone. I hated fighting people. I didn't like the idea of hitting people.
I was the complete opposite. Any fight that oh my God, I was the worst. I went to Catholic school, and all I did was fight boys. It was, crazy. And then Joe, you will appreciate this. Uncle Joe, my great Uncle Joe, who was my grandfather's brother, if I wanted to make him laugh on Margaret Street, I would go and pick on this particular boy who was like twice my size, and I would flip him on my hip. And Joe, my Uncle Joe, who he was famous on that street. I could make him laugh uncontrollably if I did this. And it was like having an audience at a very young age to be able to make this like guy that I looked up to so much. Like I learned how to do this stuff because I had a lot of boys in my life. I had a lot of uncles and cousins, and they were all boys. And I loved being rough and tumble and I loved fighting. So it's so funny that you would say you were one of those kids that didn't want to fight.
But in real life, like with my guy friends, we'd literally wrestle in my front yard until my neighbor called the cops.
Right.
With my friends and actually in 7th grade, I kicked a guy in the crotch because he broke my mom's pen. I was so mad, and I never spoke up, and I was always like really quiet. I always had like an A in conduct, but when someone presses my buttons, I just snap. And even when I was fighting as a kid, when I was in the ring, if someone would hit me, I'd just go red, and then until I won.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were a quiet kid for the most part until provoked. And then you could defend yourself. You were always able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
All right, I like that. It's so funny because I'm thinking about kids now and how different they are and how they don't go outside. Like you talked about going outside.
Oh, yeah.
Yvonne, in Ireland, I'm sure that you kids went outside, right?
Oh, yeah.
You didn't stay in.
No, never. I mean, it would be you just head out on the street to play, and you'd come home, when your mom called you for.
But when it was dinner time,
come
right?
Back again and be called back for dinner, play until it was dark.
Yeah.
Home Truth, all those games like British Bulldog, all that.
What's British Bulldog? I don't know what that is.
British Bulldog is some crazy game where you sort of all the kids form a wall, and then you have to crash into each other.
We had that game. What was it called? Charge. 1, 2, 3, charge. It was called.
Yeah. Okay, that's more descriptive of what the game actually is. Yeah, I think we called it British Bulldog, and then there was another one called the Irish Rover. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that was a pig.
I love all these names.
Red Rover, yeah, that was similar as well. But Home Truth was my favorite. That was one where you hid, and you had, I think you called it kick the can over here.
Oh, okay.
And you had to run to, save yourself, and I don't know, it was fun. But yeah, it was all outdoors, and unless it was raining, which it did a lot, even then we'd be outdoors a bit.
So we're talking about this, and Leo Rodriguez, who's our friend, says when the street lights went on, that's when you had to go home. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I came home for spaghetti night. Yeah, exactly. Anthony
or
Fetz.
potatoes if you were
Irish, right? And for the Italians, it was it it was pasta, and you better not miss dinner. That's when you were in big trouble.
Yeah.
So sometimes you had that dinner bell, but our Italian mothers used to just hang their heads out the window and call your name, and they would all call it at the same time, and we would come running, and you better. So you had to be within earshot. You know, that was another thing.
Yeah.
But so you played outside a lot. Now you're a writer. So were you a reader as a kid?
Oh, big reader, big reader. I mean, you talked about how you would read books and it kind of got you through a lot of stuff. And as a kid, I just devoured books all the time.
I was a huge Kurt Vonnegut fan as a kid.
Oh, okay. I only discovered him later on.
Was there a certain writer that you loved, or did you mix it up?
I kind of mixed it up. I mean, when I was in my early teens, I was a massive Judy Blume fan.
Sure,
I
yeah.
loved her.
Wonderful.
On Twitter.
Really? Yeah, well, she's become so big again, and she has her new books and everything.
Yeah.
Loved her. Then I really loved, we were talking earlier before the show started, The Catcher in the Rye, Katie Salinger.
Of course.
That was such a...
It's life-changing.
book. Yeah, it really
It's
yeah.
life-changing.
I think as a reader and as a teenager when I read it, but also as a writer now looking back, because like it was different than any other book I read. Like it started off with its character's really strong voice. It's like, you know, I'm not going to tell you this bullshit stuff. And it's like, oh, you can write a book like that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be like, you know, very formal and once upon a time. You can just...
He was such a rebel.
Oh, yeah.
And he didn't care who knew it.
Yep.
And I just thought, oh my God, he's my hero.
Yeah, he couldn't send any phonies and all
Yeah, and I love that he had like a streak of white, right, as a young guy?
Yeah.
That always fascinated me.
Yeah, it's very visual. Yeah.
All right, so Heidi, I'm going to bounce back and forth now. So Heidi, you told me this amazing story that actually scared me, and I was like, took my breath away. So you're a stunt woman, and you talked about an accident that you had a few years ago, and I said, no, I don't remember that. So just tell us about that, and then I want to talk about some of your shows. So let me just, for 1 second, acknowledge some more people that have come on. Kate Greer, Juliana Cesari. Juliana Cesari lives in LA. Hi, Julie. She gave me my equity card. She gave me my first job in an equity show. Thank you, Julie. Kate Greer, amazing screenwriter, friend of mine. I believe she's also Irish, if I'm not mistaken. Kate, let me know about that. She wrote an amazing movie that I'm going to have Kate Greer on soon. Suzanne Mason. Hi, Suzanne. Ken Cardis, Joshua, James, Francis Lewis. He is a chef. Ken Cardis is a photographer. Suzanne Mason, tell me what you do. All right. So now, Heidi, tell us about this scary story that happened. This happened on set, right?
This happened on set. It's not a typical thing. It's a 1 in a billion chance thing. It was nobody's fault. But I was doing a high fall on a TV show, doubling Jessica Jones, and
what's a high fall? So you mean you had to fall?
Right. It was running and jumping on a small platform and then off of a railing. And it was the shot was basically the first half was me jumping, so it looked like she was just jumping off of the ledge and then lands on her feet and keeps going.
Wow.
But the first half of it was just me jumping and then cut away to her, running away, and I landed safely onto the boxes. We did 2 takes. Second take, unfortunately, we had a little failure of the landing equipment. Ended up not knowing at the time, but I herniated a disc and really messed up my neck and nerves, and I was out of it for quite a while.
Wow. So you would think that would be the end, right? So that's it. I'm not doing this again. And you healed?
And then, actually in the emergency room, I was telling Maria earlier, in the emergency room, the doctor was kind of going through what had happened. And I forget sometimes that maybe they weren't briefed that I'm a stunt woman. So telling the doctor that you jumped off a 35-foot ledge and didn't land correctly, he had a very bewildered look on his face until the nurse and several people were like, no, she does stunts, it's a movie.
Right, because I would have thought, if I just heard someone jump, I would think, oh my God, they're trying to end it.
Yeah.
So, wow.
So after we were talking about that with the doctor, I have a neck brace on, I have, drugs being pumped into my body because I went kind of numb from the chest down, couldn't move my arms or legs.
Oh my God, this is crazy.
Very short period of time, and my head kind of leaned in a way that took the pressure off the spinal cord, but still my disc was completely
How long ago was that?
Shattered. 3 or 4, what year was that? It was my first year on Blind Spot, so 3 years ago this summer, I believe.
Wow. But you got right back on the horse, right?
So I immediately was telling the doctor how I would do it differently next time.
Instead of, I'm not doing this again.
Wow.
So he was like, I think you're in the right profession. You were already talking about the next time. But I sought out my own, the first, doctors that cut you open want to cut you open and want a quick fix. And I was determined to at least try all of the other.
So you weren't operated on?
I did not.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'm going to take just a second. I have to acknowledge my cousin Gina Savino. We always clap when Gina comes on. Gina Savino has joined us. She is my cousin. You do? You have a cousin Gina too? We have this conversation every week. Do you have a cousin Gina?
I don't. Should
I
I
can't-
pretend I do?
No, you may meet a long lost cousin at some point.
Okay.
I bet Danielle
My wife
has
might
a.
have a cousin
do.
Gina.
Yeah, Danielle's in our studio audience, and she's Italian. She has a cousin Gina.
I'm sure there's a
And
cousin
Uncle
Gina
Joe, right?
somewhere.
And an Uncle Joe, of course. So that's my cousin Gina. I love her. She's so funny and wonderful. So that's okay. Don't worry, Gina. You will catch up and watch it. And she says, "I'm sorry, I'm late." She usually comes on right away. She's great. She and her sister Joyce, who I adore, they have a hair salon, 132 Ferry Street in Everett. They're super creative and so funny. And I'm going to have them. We were talking today. I'm going to have them come visit me, and they're going to be on the show because you'll have to wear Depends. That's all I'm saying.
A live haircut on the show.
Oh, what a good idea! We'll have Susie show up. But Susie will do anything. So you're like, I don't care. Yes, that's a good idea. All right, so then you got right back on it. And what show are you working on now? Blind Spot, and that's the show. Because I was like, what show is that? And then you told me what show that was. So tell us what show that is.
Blind Spot's on NBC. It's about it opens with this woman in Times Square who's in a duffel bag covered in tattoos that are clues for the FBI.
Amazing, and you play her double.
I doubled her. Yes.
Is that the coolest thing?
That's very
So you're her stunt double.
Yeah. I didn't start out being her stunt double. Actually, she had another stunt double, and what had happened was when I was injured, I was coming back into stunts and was offered a job in Boston on one of the Purge movies. But I said I can do anything except get like ratcheted or fall really hard into cement right now, and they're like, "That's the job," and I was like, "I can't do it."
To fall in. Now, when can you imagine? Now, when I was drinking, I used to fall into cement all the time. But
Were you paid for it?
no, can you imagine? Oh, I could have made some serious money. Yeah, I was a pratfaller without meaning to be a pratfaller. Although I do love I love slapstick. I can't help it. It's my favorite type of humor. But I am always so impressed. So then you got this other good. Tell us how that happened.
So I had to turn that down, but as fate would have it, I had an audition come through for a stunt acting part on Blind Spot, where I would play a redheaded assassin. It would be a two-episode arc, so I had to actually send in an audition.
I love it.
Role. And I got cast in that, and ended up having 2 episodes, and I ended up having to fight Jamie at my character. I did my own fight and my own stunts on that. Minus going into the water. I want to make sure that is clear. Logistically, I couldn't go into the water. If you see the episode, it's episode 110.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's just good to know.
Fights and everything, and I got to know Jamie pretty well, and her stunt double at the time, Kai Furneaux, who's amazing and was her stunt double up until then. Turns out later in the season, she had an injury that she needed to have surgery for, and it would be a very long recovery. And they went through a couple of people that either just weren't a good fit or for whatever reason didn't work out. And then Kai and Jamie remembered me and brought me back, and that's been literally my life for the past 2 years, which I am so eternally grateful to all of them, to Kai, to Jamie, Aaron, everyone who got me on that show. I knew that when I went in for a rehearsal, and I knew that was my opportunity to kind of show that I could do this, because I knew that they were looking for someone. So I looked at all the old episodes, and I was like getting the movements down. And
so there's a style.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually part of going to acting school is great. Wow. Because you have to part of one of your first assignments in any acting school is mimic, find a person on the subway and then come back and act like them, right? Right. Yeah. Or you're in acting class and you have to act like the person next to you, and physicality and stuff like that. So I studied that, and you have to put a certain amount of your own style into it to really sell the character.
I love it.
So cool. I went into that rehearsal okay, don't, walk like her, move like her.
That's amazing. It's funny that you said that, because when I was teaching acting in Brooklyn in the 90s, 92 to 97, I was working in Sunset Park, and I would teach improv acting, and my kids were like, I don't know, they weren't having a lot of it, right? So they're like, we're not actors. We don't want to do this, whatever. And I said, listen, everybody's an actor. I bet, no, we can't. I said, I bet you can imitate your parents. Boom. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because every kid has watched their parents or grandparents or whoever is raising them and can, and that's how we would start. That's how I would hook them in.
Right.
With the imitating, and I agree. You know, it's that kind of thing where you imitate someone. You know, so all right. So Yvonne, this is going to bring me to you because we're talking about characters now. You see how my mind works.
I know, just links it up.
I love it.
Yeah.
So now, you know, I as I said, I haven't started reading your last book, but I can't wait. And it's, oh my God, it's so interesting. So please tell us give us a little bit background on the new book.
Okay.
And I'm watching on your website how you described how this came to be. So that was so interesting. Please tell our listeners.
Okay. So the new book is it's a bit of a new departure for me because for a number of different reasons. And one is that it has two timelines and two main characters who are narrating the whole book. And the first one is a young teenager. She's an Irish American. She's living in Brooklyn Heights. And she goes on this trip with her family to Charleston. And she starts to get these dreams shortly afterwards. And in the dreams, there's like this slave girl, and she hears this voice and all this stuff.
I'm getting chills already. I don't know about anybody else.
She thinks these are just dreams and nightmares, but she keeps having them, and she finds it really hard to shake them off when she's waking up. And anyway, kind of fast forward, she starts to hear this voice when she's at school, when she's daydreaming, she starts to see this person. Basically, the character who is a slave character, her name is E.L., she becomes the second narrator in the book.
Wow.
And the two girls develop this relationship across time and space and completely different situations from each other. And
so they acknowledge each other in the book.
Oh, absolutely.
Amazing.
I mean, they know each other as real. Cassie, who is the main character, the Irish American girl, as it comes out what's happening to her, everybody in her life thinks that she's mentally ill. Wow. And her parents who have separated and everything, they're trying to figure out how to help her. But the more they help her, the sort of worse it gets. And so it's a story of Cassie and E.L. and each of their stories and journeys and how they intersect with each other. And it's kind of about friendship too, because they become these really sort of close friends in a story.
No, but they're from different time periods, right?
Yeah. And Cassie is, I forgot one of the main parts of the story, sorry for forgetting. Cassie, her grandfather, who was from Ireland, he was from Donegal, he was absolutely convinced that he was able to communicate with dead people. So she is convinced that this is his gift and this is what's happening to her, and everybody else is convinced that she's...
Now, this very much appeals to me because my father's and my mother's family from Italy were both very much into all this.
Right.
So, and I remember my dad saying, don't tell people about any of this stuff. They're going to think we're witches. It just was, and he didn't like my grandmother, his mother, to do, but they used to do all these rituals with water and oil and all this stuff, and they would think that, Danielle's shaking her head, of course, the Italians, we have all these superstitions. We think that, people are giving us the evil eye and all that stuff. So I love this stuff. And my grandfather, when we would get up, he lived right next door to us, and when we get up, he'd say, what'd you dream? And he would start to write down everything we dreamt, and he would interpret our dreams.
Yeah.
And my mother was very much about, she felt that people could communicate with other people. And I grew up thinking that was normal, and I loved it, but we didn't talk about it much, so this is another reason. But when I watched that clip that you had on your website, you talked about the fact that there is this, that you almost felt that you didn't have the right. Please talk about that. That's so interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess this story is an idea. It came to me a few years ago. Myself and my wife Danielle were down in Charleston ourselves on vacation, and she actually was sick one day, and I went to the old Slave Mart Museum, and I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a very powerful place, and you can put on headphones and hear the voices of people who were sold into slavery.
Oh my God.
In a space. So did you ever be in a space where you can almost feel it's tangible, like what happened there?
It's like Ellis Island is like that. They have where you can actually put on it. I cry every time.
Yeah, and you can almost feel like the stone and the walls, it almost emanates the feelings of people there. So I really felt like after that trip, I remember thinking, God, I'd love to write that. But I had this sense that I can't write this story. Like, I'm some Irish woman, you know, I have no business writing an African American slave story. Like, that's somebody else's to
This
write.
is so interesting.
So yeah, I just kind of tried to push it away a lot, and you know, I had my publisher wanted me to start on a new novel, so I started kind of writing other stuff, but I kept just sort of coming back to it, and it was like
Wow.
it wouldn't kind of leave me alone.
Just like the character of
Yeah,
Yell.
that was the weird thing. It was
I mean,
almost like a parallel.
That's
Yeah.
what that's why I
Yeah.
find it so interesting, because
Yeah.
you're not just writing from a different point of view. It actually was happening to you.
Right, well, because that...
In a
that
way,
was
right?
my-
Metaphorically?
Yeah, because it was sort of my way in, because I started to write the Cassie character, and not that she was me either, but I had more that I could kind of relate to with
Mhm.
her. And then I realized, like, oh, Cassie doesn't think it's her story either. Like, why would this
Right,
girl come
right.
to her? So the things that she was doing and does in the book are some of the things that I was doing. So I went to the Schoenberg Center and did a lot of research. And
Oh
that's
my
something
God,
that
this is
she ends up
amazing.
doing. You know,
Oh,
so it was kind of like
I
these
can't wait to
crazy
read the book. I
parallels.
can't wait.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So now let's hold the book up again and show people, and
Okay.
also for our radio listeners, let's talk about the book. So it's called
It's called I'm Right Here.
I'm Right Here.
Yep.
Yvonne Cassidy.
Yvonne Cassidy. Yeah.
Spell your name again, Yvonne.
Okay,
For
it's Yvonne, and it's Cassidy, Cassidy, and I'm Right Here. It's out in paperback. It's published by Hachette.
okay, right now you can get it on Amazon.uk.
Amazon.uk or .ie or any bookstore in the UK or Ireland.
And hopefully it will
or
be
from me.
or
my
from-
website.
from which I think is great, because she'll sign it for you.
Yes.
So please, how cool to actually know the person who's signing the book. It's not just someone you go, because I'm one of these people that if this book comes out and I love the author or the subject, I will go and stand in line for 4 hours and get that. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
I really love that. I love things that are authentic and signed. And I told Yvonne I have to buy another book now that she doesn't sign, because I have to read that one and, you know, make it dirty, whatever happens there, spill things, blend it out, because I am
That's
messy.
loved.
Yes, show that it's loved. And then I'm going to save the other one, put it on my shelf. So also, hopefully Yvonne will be published in the United States soon. Now, if you're a publisher out there, what the hell are you waiting for? Jump on this thing now. Now. Do it. Be the first one to do this. So before somebody else gets to her. All right. So, and that's risk, right? To take a risk on something like that. But I will vouch for Yvonne. She's amazing.
And this one, not to be given a
No,
terrific
please.
plug, but this one won a Rainbow Award last year, which is recognition of LGBT books for young adults.
Amazing.
So yeah, so
That's
any publishers out there, it's already got a bit of recognition. This one, so you could leverage that.
And that is How Many Letters in Goodbye. And that, forget about it. It's going to break your heart. It's so amazing. And, you know, there's a mom connection there, and you know me. I loved my mom. She was like my best buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, at times, almost difficult for me to read it.
Right.
It was so painful and so beautiful. And yet I wanted to know what she was writing the next day. And I was rooting for that kid all the way. You have to read it. You're going to love it. So, Heidi, now talk about taking risks and stuff. We're talking about, you know, like characters taking risks and being out there, and publishers take, you know, you're not going to be taking a risk on Yvonne because she's a sure bet. So, you know, put your
Heard it here.
put your big boy or girl pants on and contact Yvonne Cassidy, and let's go. So, Heidi, so I still want to know, like, what makes a person go into stunt work? And number one, and it must have been from when you were a kid. You just loved doing this. Were you someone that loved riding roller coasters and all that crazy stuff?
I hated roller coasters.
Because I hate them. I won't. And you
love it
hated
now.
heights?
I hated heights.
Wow.
I actually, I like I said, with the fighting, and I used to make fight scenes and pretend like I was getting shot and fall down my stairs and stuff like that.
But you see, that's like from being a little kid. That's innate.
Yeah, and I would go. I feel like I would go a step beyond and be like choreograph, and I'd yell at myself like, "No, punch here and then there, and then you go down. And do not stay up when I push you down. Go down."
Wow.
But like I was demanding.
It's all right. Sometimes you got to be. People like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, trust me. People like to structure. Believe it or not.
I do like heights now. I actually like scarily like heights.
Really?
I went to a stunt school in Florida, Kahana Stunt School. It was in the middle of a 100-acre swamp in Florida. When I decided that was where I wanted to go, and I Mike, I believe it was Mike, my friend Mike, tied me off to the top of a 55-foot tower.
God, this is
overnight.
crazy.
We put on harness
Overnight?
and we slept there overnight.
That is crazy. Well, that's one way to spend time with your friends.
It did. It really did.
I mean,
I really wanted to get over that fear.
and you did
And
it.
I did it.
Wow.
I love roller coasters now, and I don't have problems.
Oh, boy, not me. So what are some of the shows that you worked on?
Oh, geez. Orange is the New Black.
Oh, wow.
Well, Person of Interest. There's a show called Mysteries of Laura, Blue Bloods, Boardwalk, everything that shoots in New York, pretty much. Castles in LA. CSI New York is in LA, actually.
Well, it's been hard to get you to do the show because I know we wanted to make it happen, but your schedule sometimes. Which one is that?
The Americans. Carrie Russell.
Oh,
It was
okay.
meant to be a great
She's-
show.
I mean, Jamie, the girl that I double, I just have to say, is the most amazing woman on the face of the planet and has done so much fun. And just recently meeting Carrie Russell and working with her was incredible.
So, of course, you have to meet the person that you're doubling, right? You have to get
I
to.
fought Carrie Russell.
Oh, you fought her in that.
Yeah.
But usually you have to meet people. It's not like you just show up on the set that day, right? You have to spend some time with them. And they must really appreciate you. I'm sure they appreciate you because they don't have to do them. Yeah.
Most of the time, everyone's
Sometimes-
different. Some people just don't know. That's fine. That's part of my job is to not care whether they appreciate me or not.
Yeah, well, there's a
I get
saying.
paid. I don't need to be appreciated.
Yeah, I like that. Well, there's a saying that I love that says, what other people think of me is none of my business.
That's a good one.
One of my favorite sayings. And so that's one of those things, and sometimes you can't take things, like I've gotten so good at this at my ripe old ages of not taking things personally, and what other people think, it says more about them than it will say about you.
Yeah.
You can't, in my youth, I got so tangled up in what other people thought of me. It's like, I wish I could go back and tell that kid to just, don't worry about it. These people are nothing. Keep your eye on the prize and keep doing the right thing and good things will happen, So, now, hold on, I have to scroll because sometimes I miss some of these things. Let's acknowledge Joe Savino. Oh, that good-looking guy. I need Heidi to do a stunt on Night Talk. Let me tell you, some of those stunts. That's his show, Night Talk with Joe Rocks. Oh my God, can you imagine? Yeah, you guys need. You know what she should come and do is slap you, all of you guys, around a little bit. But you see, you would like that. That's the problem, Joe. I'm telling you, Gina. What do you think of all this? Gina knows. Gina was on that show once, and she was just telling it like it was. All right, so Lisa Lem Cheney. She's my friend from Massachusetts. My family was like that too, but in New England, right? I grew up as if it was normal too. My parents were spiritualist mediums. Yes. Renee Lordi has joined us. Hi, Renee. I love Renee. She's a teacher. She's in Paramus and Bergenfield. Andrew Holmes has joined us. He's a producer on a lot of shows. Andrew, you'll have to, I don't know what you're working on now, but he's done so many shows he's produced. Rosemary Soluka Foster. Hi, Suzanne Murray. Hi, Sergeant Sue. She's my friend, Sergeant Sue. Kia Nelson. Chris Colacho. Kathy Roy Spees, that's my boss in Morristown. Best boss I ever had in my life. Hi, Kathy and Darius. And I heard you guys had your Miracle Project show today. Those wonderful little souls. Miracle Project is this wonderful thing that they do out at MPAC with special needs students, mostly on the autistic spectrum. It's amazing. They bring theater to their lives, and these children bring joy to our lives. So it's a wonderful program out there. Okay, so Josephina wants you on his show. I'm telling you, we're going to have to talk about this. Let me tell you, I would pay money to watch her slap you guys. I'm just telling you right there. Heidi, she looks...
I get that a lot.
Yeah, she gets it a lot. Yeah, these guys are... But anyway, they're fun guys. Not Jimmy. Don't slap Jimmy Bell. I need him. He's my favorite. Okay. So now, believe it or not, these hours fly by. So I want to talk about our food. Now, I asked Yvonne, what do you guys want to eat? And she was like, oh, no, we're on, I don't know if you were on some special diet or you had eaten already and all that stuff. Now, you don't tell an Italian person we're not going to eat. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So, and then I thought, well, she's Irish, I'm going to feed her either way. It's not going to, the Irish are not going to say, yes, please, Maria, make me this, this, and this. I have Irish friends. They never tell you what to make them, but they will eat it. And if you don't eat it, I won't be hurt because I will eat it and Heidi will eat it. Now, also, Heidi said, I have to work tomorrow, so I have to eat light. So you are working where tomorrow? What's your job tomorrow?
Blind spot.
Blind spot. And you have already assigned things you have to do?
We're working on a fight scene, so we're building a fight tomorrow.
Okay, so you can't be weighed down tomorrow. You can't with Maria Gentili food, can you? No.
I mean, I could eat, but
Yeah, you can eat. So I'll tell you what I did, how I solved this. How I solved the solution. Okay, so this is what I did. Now this is my display plate, as everybody knows. I always have a display plate, right? How's that, Danielle? How'd I do? All right, but I'll tell you why I separated like this. Because let me tell you, when girls always have food stuff, right? We either eat too much, or sometimes people are on a diet, or they're gluten-free, or just protein, or the paleo, whatever the hell it is. So whatever the hell that thing is, paleo, Pilates, if you're cooking for women, unless it's my family, we eat everything, you don't know. So I separated it. Here I have my protein, shrimp, right? Nice and light, not too much. Broccoli, delicious, with some mushrooms in there. Brown quinoa rice, okay? This is for the people that are eating light and watching what they eat. Now, I went with an Asian theme tonight because I didn't want to put too much oil. Usually I like load stuff up with oil and butter. So I went with an Asian theme. I know I love all that stuff. And I stir-fried the shrimp in a tiny bit of oil, squeezed an orange in there. I put roasted garlic and onion. There's this Trader Joe's compound that they have is amazing. And threw that in there and stir-fried it, bump, 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 bump. Sauteed the garlic with ginger and some lemon and some garlic, and then the brown rice is plain. Okay, good. Thank you for all the hearts. You see, this is how I have dealt with women watching what they eat on my show. And as I said, I'm the opposite. I'm the worst. I just eat everything. And I was a little upset because I usually have great desserts, but I said, I'm not even going to have dessert. Now, of course, I have Oreos in the kitchen and M&Ms. Don't worry. Don't panic. I'm not going to die without dessert. I have everything stashed. So I have stuff.
tiramisu or something.
No, I know the Italians, right? Well, I didn't break out cannolis or anything like that.
Napoleon?
Sometimes I've had Napoleons on the chocolate Napoleons on the show. I love all that stuff. Are you kidding me? So that's how I have dealt with the food issues. What do we have for time, girls? We're 9:46. Okay. So thank you to everybody that's checking in. I want to be back to Galway, Ireland. Leo Rodriguez, our Mexican representative there. Leo, you should. Yeah, let's go to. Ireland is number 1 on my places to visit.
Oh wow.
Israel is number 2. Scotland is number 3. Yes. So all this stuff. Thank you, Joe, for appreciating the food. See, Joe and Gina. Thank you, Gina. Yeah, my cousin Rena is there. So many great people are checking in. Thank you, everybody. So now let's go back. So Heidi, tomorrow, like, what is your most fun stunt that you ever did that you were like, whoa, I want to do that again? What was something that you did that you were like, yeah, let's do that again?
Well, I kind of want to do the stunt where I broke my neck again. I'm not kidding.
But right, you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I did it right the first time. I just want the landing equipment to be right.
Holy mackerel, that would scare me. Good for you for having those kinds of. Yeah. we just BALLS for our radio listeners. Z, right? Yeah.
Fight scenes though, there have been some really cool fight scenes I've done, like, especially even on Blind Spot. There's just been some really cool ones, like running off the wall.
Now, because you are the double for the girl with all the tattoos, do you have to have all those tattoos?
Yep.
So they have to do all that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long does that take?
Depending on the wardrobe, I'm in the chair at least an hour and a half.
Amazing.
Before we start. And then Jamie, I mean, she can be in there for up to 3, depending on what tattoos are being focused on. Like if she has clothes on in certain spots, we don't have to put them on, obviously.
Right.
There, but yeah.
That's amazing. And what night is that show on that they can watch?
Friday, 8 p.m.
Friday, 8 p.m. And that's on demand, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I think you can catch it on Hulu or NBC.com.
Okay.
And all previous seasons are on Netflix, I believe.
Blind Spot. So watch for, but yeah, so now that we know that you're the stunt double for that, so you do, I mean, the stunt people do most of the stunts, right? I would say.
Yeah, I mean, especially all the dangerous stuff. We'll, like Jamie, like if it's a fight scene, Jamie will learn most of the fight. We'll kind of separate it into pieces for her. We'll do all the masters with me. We'll tag team in and out for that kind of stuff. But, falling down the stairs last season, or, last season I got to fight Ronda Rousey, which was amazing, and now we're friends.
I love that. It's like boys are like that. They fight and then they're friends.
Yeah.
Stunt women are like that too.
It's true. It's true. It actually, you meet a stuntwoman for the first time, you're like, oh, you're tackling her and you're throwing her over there. Oh, nice to meet you. Okay.
Yeah.
Today,
I love that.
So cool.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
See, a lot, and I think like with couples too, that can be foreplay. I know. God knows it's been for me. Sometimes you throw a couple of chairs. What do you think, Joe Rocks? Gina, have you ever thrown a plate and then you want to make out, right? You see, this is how it happens sometimes. Oh, you go for drinks, you're like, this is great. That, I'm telling you, the Italians are, see, we could never do stunts because we would get too much into it. It'd be too crazy. Wow, it's so exciting. So good for you. And you have to keep in shape, obviously, right? So what do you do to keep in shape? You have to stay flexible, right?
Yeah.
Is that the most important thing?
Since my injury, I did a lot of CrossFit before, but since my neck injury, I've had to kind of change it up, which in turn ended up kind of changing my body composition and my body shape quite a great deal.
In what way?
Are
you stronger now?
I'm stronger in different ways. I'm more flexible. I'm thinner. People would say that that's great, but I can't lift like I used to. I'm getting back into it now, just a little differently. But when I couldn't move, I was getting so depressed because, and I know anyone out there who's ever had an injury, if you're an active person, not even an athlete,
we're all shaking our heads. We've all been there.
You just, all of a sudden, there's a cloud over your head, and I just need to sweat, or I need to do something.
Right.
And with the specific injury, I'll be really quick, but I couldn't move, couldn't step. I was on the Stairmaster at the gym, holding my arm and not moving, and just moving my feet. And
wow.
At least I'm sweating. Oh. But that didn't work, so I went into a yoga class, went to a hot yoga class.
People talk about Bikram. People talk about this all the time.
I couldn't move, but, eventually did one more pose every time.
And yoga is one of these great things that people can do. Hi, Mario. Mario Cantone has joined us. Our friend Mario. We love him. He's our buddy. Mario's great. So, Mario, you'll have to go back and watch the show because Heidi is a stunt woman and Yvonne is a writer. She's an Irish writer. So, all right. So, Yvonne, let's go back to you for a minute. So, Heidi has these adventures on camera and they're written out for her. Mm-hmm. And are you someone when you write out a book, do you do the whole outline or do you start with an idea and then start with certain chapters? And like I know when I write a song, for instance, right, which is much easier than writing a book. It's just, but
it wouldn't be for me.
Okay, so I guess we're good at different things. But lots of times it'll be one line that I'll hear or think of or a concept, and I'll write out from that. Right. Like I may write one part that has nothing to do, and then completely change it. But something will usually inspire me. Yeah. And same thing with scripts. When I usually get a script, like if I direct something, it's the same thing. I will focus on one thing and direct out. Right. And then I will, bookend it. But do you find that with writing a book?
Yeah, very similar process. I teach creative writing as well, and it's something that I take.
Where do you teach that?
I teach at the Irish Arts Centre. I actually have a new class starting next Wednesday.
Do you have to be Irish to take from you?
You do not have to be Irish.
Okay. No, I asked because I don't know if it's just, it's important.
No, I mean, there's a lot of Irish people. There's a real mix. It's a great class. It's,
well, I love the Irish. I'm from Boston, you know that.
So, and also I teach at the JCC, the JCC in Manhattan, and you don't have to be Jewish for that.
Okay, great.
It's a real mix.
All right, so if you want to get if you want to take a class from Yvonne, how long are your classes? What's the straight? Is it 8 weeks? Or?
It's a 6-week class, and I kind of do them on rotation, so I'll do 6 weeks on, and there'll be a few weeks break, then there'll be another 6 weeks. So I have a lot of repeat students, particularly in the Irish Arts Centre one, but I cater for...
Irish Arts, is that on 50th Street?
That is on 50th Street, but the actual place where I teach, it's on 54th between 8th and 9th, because the 50th Street location is...
And what do you teach? Just creative writing, or is it specific to novels or memoirs? Or
It's creative writing, and I mean, I write novels, so I tend to lean a bit that way, but the things that I teach, I feel are applicable to short stories, memoir. I have students writing across the board, pretty much anything except poetry, which I think is a very different animal, but I have people writing for screen sometimes.
So if someone wants to take a class from you, would they find all this information on your website?
They find it on my website, YvonneCassidy.com. There's I've just redone my website, so there's a little tab for teaching.
Okay.
There's 2 links on there that take you to both of the websites, and you can see when the next classes are starting. Both of them are actually starting up in the next couple of weeks, so it's a good time.
I know so many writers. And so many people have talked about wanting to write screenplays and so many things. So please check out Yvonne Cassidy's website, YvonneCassidy.com, and check out her teaching page. This is a really great thing. I didn't even know you taught until I went to your website, and now I'm so happy that you did that.
It's a really fun thing, and I mean, just, to what you were saying about the starting place, I would say to students, like, go to where the energy is. Like,
let me just check the time, how we're doing for time, because sometimes when I get these little dings from the producer, I know that we need to. Oh no, we're doing fine. So we have about in about 3 minutes we'll start to. So go ahead.
I was just saying that I'll say to my students very much like what you said about the song, is like, go to where the energy is. If there's something sort of gripping you or coming up as an idea, whether it's a character or an image or whatever, start there.
Right.
For me, that's what I do. A very good teacher years and years back, Kate, said to me that basically took away the pressure to write chronologically, because I don't do that. I don't plan.
Right.
And I felt a terrible pressure that, like, you'd have to start here.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine. It would be overwhelming.
It would be, it was overwhelming for me, the idea of plot. How would you do that? And he had this idea. He said, think about it as islands of fiction. And what you're doing is, it's like a puzzle. You're writing little scenes.
Oh, great.
Don't worry too much in the early days about how they link up. Just trust that they're going to link up. And at some point, you're going to figure out where they all fit.
Oh, I love that.
It's kind of like doing a puzzle, but not knowing what
was going to fit. And you can switch it around and change it
as you go along. Yeah.
Jimmy, how are we doing for time?
You get 5 minutes.
5 minutes, great. Okay, so, wow, that is so freeing. And I would find that that would be like a sigh of relief, because I'm one of those people that I can overwhelm myself. My brain will overwhelm me.
Well, then you get paralyzed, or at least that's what happens to me. I get overwhelmed, I get paralyzed, I don't do anything. So a lot of things in my classes is especially about trying to lower the bar for people, have fun with it, get rid of all these expectations that you have of yourself or you think that other people have of you, and just embrace it. Like, just get into the creativity of it and just enjoy it.
Yeah, it really is, though.
Get out of your own way.
Oh, boy, really? So, Heidi, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
I have a website. It's HeidiGermain.com.
Okay, spell it for the radio listeners.
It's HeidiGermain.com. Or on all social media, it's at StuntGirlHeidi. StuntGirlHeidi. Okay,
at StuntGirlHeidi. So you guys, so you have an Instagram page too.
Yeah, and behind the scenes, I post a lot of behind the scenes little videos and things that we do.
And that's Stunt Girl.
Stunt Girl Heidi.
Stunt Girl Heidi on Instagram. So go check that out. Wow, so many great things coming. So right now you're working on Blind Spot, and keep us posted. Come on and tell us what other stuff that you're working on. Yeah. And so as I'm calling the show, it is our Girl Power show tonight. And these are my girls, and they're powerful. And girls, guys, whoever's out there, if you're listening, and what would girls want? We'll close with this. What do you do if you're in fear? What's your advice for fear? Yvonne, you go first.
I asked the other person to answer first. If I'm in fear, I think the best thing that I can do is pause and realize that I'm in fear, and just give myself a little bit of time to just figure out what I want to do next.
Okay, excellent. And Heidi, what do you do when you're in fear?
I'm not gonna steal that completely, but acknowledge that it's fear. I think even doing stunts or just, going about your day, acknowledging the fact that something scares you and breaking it down. Take one foot in front of the other,
Right. Well, I don't think that's stealing, because I think we all identify with that.
Yeah.
I think that there was a time in my life where I was having these panic attacks. I was a witness to a violent crime a few years back, and then I was getting these panic attacks because of it. And one time I was at the ballet. I was literally in fourth row center, and I started to have a panic. I thought I was having a heart attack. And in that moment, I said to myself, okay, if you die right here, you died at the ballet. And how wonderful that you're watching this. So, and after that, it just lifted. I thought, you're just having a panic attack. It's not real. It's like, so things like that. So I think what we've all said, and maybe take this with you tonight, is acknowledge what's happening, whatever it is. Take a breath, take a step, and as Heidi said, break it down. And as Yvonne was saying, you don't have to do things in a row. You can do it in pieces. Just take a breath. You're fine. I talk to myself all the time. I say, sometimes I'm doing something and I start to get panicky, and I go, Maria, it's going to all work out. It's going to be just fine. I literally say it out loud. And then I calm myself down. So that's what we're going to leave you with tonight. It's going to all work out. It's going to be fine. Just calm the hell down. So tonight we had Yvonne Cassidy, Heidi Germain Shinapoff, and Maria Gentili. Thank you so much for joining us on What's the Story with Maria. Come back every Tuesday at 9 p.m. And I'm going to post all these links where you can hear us on Spreaker.com, on iHeartRadio.com and podcast. And come back every Tuesday night. ArmedDigitalMedia.com is where we go live. And I want to thank Armed Radio because they asked me to come on 27 weeks ago, and I'm having the time of my life. Thank you, Joe Rocks. Thank you, Jim Bell. See you next week.
Bye.